This is Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on his own. My good friend Gareth Davies joins me. Good to see you, mate. How's things?
How are you? I'm very good, very good. Looking forward to next week. Also, Nick Ball at the weekend against Rio, and tall opponent. I'm diving into it, but tall opponent. He's seen it before in Ray Vargas, long range opponent. We know what he's going to do. He's going to wade in, beat him up, hopefully stop him late. I don't mean that in deference to his opponent, but I want to see him fight Moye Nui at featherweight.
Yeah, I mean, wow, yeah. Some way to start. That is a brilliant fight. Entertainment factor with Nick Ball is always 10 out of 10. We were
Yeah,
just saying before we started this, it's been a weird, not a weird couple of weeks. It's been, what word would
eventful.
you use? Eventful. Yeah, eventful, perfect.
Yeah, it has. It's been a very eventful couple of weeks. I think there's always a big inquiry and a lot of fallout whenever Anthony Joshua loses. He's such a big figure in the boxing firmament, in the heavyweight boxing firmament, that there's just always a huge fallout and aftermath. Daniel Dubois not getting enough credit for what he did. Why are people disrespecting Anthony Joshua? These are all the lines of inquiry. Should he be given more respect for what he's done? I mean, to all of those things, I think he's done amazing things for boxing and for himself. And it's incredible that he'll take the rematch against Daniel Dubois. The fallout with Chris Eubank and then it being righted at the press conference last week. Um, the critique of the Saudis still that I just don't see there being a need for. We're just about to go to another amazing event. That they're opening Riyadh season with another boxing event. It just shows how important boxing is to His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh and the Saudi Arabians and Riyadh season. I think we're in the period of a boom, and I just hope the bus doesn't come too soon. I hope the guys stay with the sport because it's done amazing things. We're getting all the fights the fans want, like Better Be Evan Bivol, made in an instant. Yes, it's been delayed because of an injury, but my word, it's an incredible fight.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm looking at the schedule and licking my lips at the potential of actually never being at home and just being away for fights. You talk about the Saudi criticism,
I'm
and
sure your girlfriend will be happy about that.
no, I'm sure she really will, honestly. She's over.
Very funny, very very
Um,
self-effacing. Yeah,
in terms of the Saudi criticism, I know it's something that Eddie has been quite vocal on. Him and Simon Jordan had their back and forth, which we seem to get once every 2 months, maybe, on a certain subject. Where does Eddie versus Simon end, do you think?
it probably never ends. They've got a kind of on-air beef that's very entertaining. Simon Jordan holds his own with Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn relishes the Jordan back and forth, and it creates numbers, and it's quite an entertaining scene. But on a personal level, I think they're all entitled to their opinions. I mean, I think Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren are doing amazing things at the moment. Obviously, underwritten by big Saudi investment, as we've said, and the support of His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh. And just to cover it off, exactly in the way that the Chris Eubank situation last week, where he hammered the promoters, which I thought was not the right time and was ill advised, even though it stole all the headlines. The apology came soon afterwards, and I think certain heads got banged together and it was sorted out, and that's what we want to see because we don't want to see people falling out in the sport. We want to see them getting on together because that's what makes the fights possible.
Yeah, the R word is quite I guess, a dangerous one to throw about. Kind of
Which R word?
the racism word. Been used a couple of times in headlines, been said in many a sentence as well. I guess it accentuates the point that you're trying to make, but in the current situation, is it quite a dangerous word to throw about, do you think?
No, I don't think the R word is relevant. I just don't see it. I don't see it. It's not. This isn't a racist issue. It's people. If you're talking about racism towards the Saudi Arabians, you mean?
Yeah, because I've seen it in many a
No, I don't think
line
so. I
and
think what it is people averse to change.
right.
They've got to get used to change, and they've got to get used to. another culture and another territory being involved in investment. We've seen it in the past, and listen, you know my feelings about it. I've said them on here, and I've said it to you privately. What the Saudi Arabians are doing for the sport is extraordinarily helpful, and projects the sport in a major way. Like most people out there now who follow sport could probably name you the top 10 in the heavyweight division. That wasn't possible a year ago. And as we head towards the opening of Riyadh season again, it opened last year with Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou, one of the biggest shocks in heavyweight boxing history, really. And we've had, is it 7 events since then that are under the auspices of the Riyadh season? One in LA, one in London, which was extraordinary, as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and I think 5 in Riyadh we've had. So it's been an amazing time. I've been at all of them, and they've just got bigger and bigger. And wait till you get out there next week. You'll see how big all these things are and how many hours we're working, because it's it's work all day and then go to the set pieces in the evening, and everyone's available. Everyone's being paid well. So there's no fighters cutting corners and not turning up. Everyone's available. There's lots of storylines, and it's all good for the sport.
Yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've heard that it's kind of work, sleep, work, sleep. Just on what I was saying, on a personal note, was surprised to hear Eddie use the R term, but I guess that's something that we kind of need to skip over. In terms of Eddie, though, did you see what he called you yesterday?
Oh no, what's he done? What's he calling me now?
Well, he said that you were weird for the suggestion that Queensbury have a better stable than Metro.
Oh, that was on Saturday night. I knew that our producer would put us in the
You
pot.
and Adam did say at the time, you said this is someone trying to stir a little bit from backstage.
It was based on Frank's heavyweight stable at the moment. That's very powerful.
I thought it was a brilliant chat. I thought it was a brilliant chat that you two had.
Yeah. What was the weird bit from him then? What was the why was it weird?
I guess because you backed the promotional outfit that isn't his.
Listen, Eddie Hearn is not going anywhere. He's a very powerful, very clever promoter. And they all have ups and downs with their stable. And I just at the moment I chose Frank Warren. I mean, he's got Daniel Dubois, Tyson Fury, Joseph Parker, Gilles Zhang, Moses Talma, Fabio Wardley. Goodness gracious! I mean, I think there's a couple more as well. David Adeleye. Who else has he got? I think Chisora's with him at the moment as well. So I mean, he's got a great stable. I mean, he's very, very powerful at the moment, and Frank's a survivor through thin and thinner, thick and thicker, and he's done extraordinarily well. And it's just my pick at the moment. Did Adam go with? I can't remember now. It was a busy show. Did Adam go with Matchroom?
I don't think Adam sat on an answer specifically, but he did start. I mean, you speak about the heavyweights that you listed. You went down the heavyweight route, and then Adam started to list off the international stable of Hearn. So Usyk and Jaron Ennis's, etc. So
Shaka Stevenson and others, yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure Adam sat on an answer, but don't quote me on that because I'll have to. But this thing about Frank being able to build a fighter and Eddie a commercial superstar, I guess Frank can also build commercial stars and Eddie can also build fighters, but that's just kind of their two best accolades as such, or what both are best at.
Well, I think I went over, you know, how Frank builds very cleverly, and all the way back to, the resurgent Frank Bruno when he won a world title at the fourth attempt, and how he built his stable at the beginning when he went on to ITV. This is many years ago with people like Joe Bugner, and I've spoken to Frank about that recently. And when you look at what he did with Nassim Hamed and Ricky Hatton and Joe Calzaghe and Amir Khan, and then what he's done with Tyson Fury in the last, what is it, 6 years. It's extraordinary, and he really knows what he's doing. He's been in the game nearly 50 years, which shows you, 5 decades in the sport. A man who was shot, remember, in 1990. 9 months later, he was promoting Frank Sinatra. in London at the London Arena. You've got to give him his props. So, and I have huge respect for him and what he's achieved in the sport. So my microphone was over there. Huge respect for what he's done and what he continues to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Frank is, I think survivor is a perfect word in more senses than
And a
one.
thriver. He survives and he thrives. And then he's having an amazing time at the moment. And his son, George Warren, has come into his own. Francis is doing really well with his management. They really have got their ducks in a row. And Eddie's got a very powerful base as well. I'm just really pleased, Oscar, that they're working together and they've grown a great respect for each other. Now Ben Shalom's on board as well, and they're both tapping away at him a little bit. Eddie likes to get his boot in on Ben Shalom, but the truth is, what's happened, for example, with this card and what happened in London, you've got Boxer and Sky, Queensberry and TNT, Matchroom and DAZN, all the broadcasters working together, and that means everything's aligning. So someone's doing something right somewhere, and I think the man at the top, the most influential man in boxing at the moment, Turki Al-Sheikh, you can't thank him enough for what he's done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got two younger brothers, and when we were much younger, I used to give them kind of little kicks and nudges, and now they're my best friends. Do you think that Frank and Eddie view Ben Shalom? Do you think that's how they view Ben? We'll give him his little.
Yeah, your life is an analogy for the promoters in Britain right now. It's exactly that. You hit it
That means I'm
nail on the
Frank
head.
Warren. I'm Frank Warren right now.
Yeah, exactly. You're Frank Warren. Not a lot of people know that. As I always joke with him, he's Michael Caine. Yeah, we can't, go back a year. Or go back 14 months. And even though Frank had said around, I think, June or July last year that there's a game changer coming, and he's also told me since then he didn't realize what an enormous or how big a game changer it would be. He knew it was big, and he knew that, the fact that Tyson Fury and their charge Tyson Fury in the Riyadh season was going to get involved in boxing. But no one could have, certainly not before October last year, when many of us went to Saudi Arabia for the first time under the Riyadh season boxing. Did we understand quite how powerfully invested His Excellency was going to be? Turki Al-Sheikh, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh would be in the sport, and I think it's only growing. We've seen that with the recent. I think you were in Los Angeles as well, weren't you? The Los Angeles and London cards were brilliant, and they will only learn from them. They're very quick at learning about them. And the 5 events in Riyadh were extraordinary.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not going to get any complaints from my end, that's for sure. One thing that was said the other day, and I guess this has been, well, don't want to say a problem, but one of very few problems that we might have had with a couple of the early Riyadh season shows, the later start times. I know obviously the ones in Riyadh are in Riyadh, so we can't kind of always take it from a UK viewing perspective, but the long waits between fights as well. Something Eddie said the other night, I think Harper and Dixon was wrapped up by 9:30-ish. This 9:30-10 main event time, surely something we've got to be kind of all on board with.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, in terms of deadline times for Saturday night for newspapers, it's perfect because most most newspapers are off stone just after 11, as it's called, off stone. I know newspapers aren't as big as they were, but my word, it makes your life a lot easier if they want stories filed to the desk. I think it's a good time to. It used to be later because people wanted to go to the pub and then they'd come in and watch the fight. But I think times are changing and people are much more selective about what they do, how they do, whether they have a little party at home to watch a fight. But yeah, I'm fully on board. 10 o'clock absolute cutoff time, brilliant. I think it's great. It certainly works in our time zone. It's a bit more complex in America, where there's that 3-hour lag between the West Coast and the East Coast, and in Las Vegas, for example, you're normally out and in the press conference around 9 o'clock. So that does happen 9:30. Whereas it's 12:30 on the East Coast, 5 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning for us. You'll never completely, you'll never get the situation completely solved because of time zones. But yeah, I think it's a great idea and it's a great move. And also cards with not too many fights on. I'm backing that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. See, maybe it's the younger man in me, but I'm thinking about it the other way, not go to the pub and come back for the fights, watch the 9:30 fight, and then head out with the
And
boys.
then head out for the night. There you go. That's the younger man in you, definitely. I'm up for that as well, though.
I thought so. When you said about it being easier for the newspapers, I didn't think you meant you can go to sleep. I thought you meant you can go and get a nice tequila from the bar.
Maybe.
Maybe. One more thing, Sonny versus Galal. Quite a strong domestic schedule actually with Nick Bald and Liam Davis should have a match.
Yeah.
Sonny and Galal.
Yeah.
A really good fight. Not
Patrol and Progray.
yeah, Catchall Prograde, brilliant. Just on Sonny and Galal, not too fiery at the press conference, but with the bloodline tag, I guess you sense a little bit of something might go on towards fight week.
Yeah, well, I thought I loved it last week where Family Feud with Sonny Edwards in the corner of Thomas Asomba was an amazing thing. Got the best out of Charlie with Sonny eyeing him from the other corner. That was brilliant, and then obviously it led nicely into this week's press conference. I mean, I had a bit of an odd kind of maybe I didn't have any barbs about it, but I'd picked Galal to win that fight when it was first announced, and found myself interviewing Sonny with TalkSPORT the week before last, and he obviously wasn't too pleased about it, but one of those situations where the more I look at the fight, the more I think it's really hard to pick a winner. And obviously Sonny revealing that he's boxed literally hundreds of rounds with Galal. Maybe he knows something that I don't know. It's a terrific fight. It's a great matchup between. I think it's the WBC interim, isn't it? They're going to fight for at flyweight. It's a terrific fight. So it's a great moment for Galal to come up and have this fight. Sonny, we know what he's done. He's been an amazing exponent. At times, I can recall naming him as or labeling him as the best pound for pound boxer in the UK with his skill set. I'm sure he wants another fight with Bam Rodriguez at some point, but this is a terrific all British ding dong at flyweight. It's going to be all action, and I've kind of revised my opinion. I think it's going to be very, very close, and it's going to come down to who wants it the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Gareth, I really appreciate your time as always. Have a lovely rest of your day. And I'm sure I will see you, I guess, next in Riyadh.
Yeah, either see it at the weekend or in Riyadh at the end of the weekend.